Well, let's get right into this today. Welcome to the Lounge Weekly. Today is July 26th of the hopefully better than last year, 2021. It is so good to have you today, and welcome to all of you watching the playback. We miss seeing your faces, but we understand not everybody is able to make it at this certain hour. But hey, we're going to get into this regardless, and I believe today is going to really help you. We've been in a series, you can call it, talking about time maximization. It is one of my favorite topics ever to talk about. I've literally built an entire concept in business around this thought of maximizing your time, not just managing your time. Now, to recap very briefly, of course, we know that to manage your time well, there will be some maximization within. I understand that. You know me though, I think by this point, I love the dramatic effect of maximization versus manage. To manage, to me at least, it implies maintaining. And I'm not really about that all the way. I want to not just maintain, but maximize, not just maintain, but move. To maximize your time is to move your time, to make your time work for you, to produce, to have results. It's to move it forward. And you know that I've been reading through this book right here called Time Management Magic. And I know it has the word management in it, but it's a great book nonetheless. Again, disclaimer, I'm not hating on the phrase time management, but I just want to talk about time maximization to you today. So that's our recap. Also, we talked about last time in 201. If you haven't watched the video, go watch it. The link is available in Slack. But the number one excuse is I don't have time. And time is the thing that we all have the same amount in common, right? And I guarantee you, all I have to do is ask you 1 to 2 questions, and I could probably debunk that lie or, that thought that I don't have enough time. So that is the number one excuse that I hear when it comes to going after your dreams, your goals, whether it be fitness and health. I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to grocery shop. I don't have, this or that, or I don't have enough resource, to do so. We can talk about a plan on how you can get more resource to be able to, you get my point. But the number one excuse that I hear is I don't have time. And that's typically not the truth. We talked about this last week, but it's not necessarily that we don't have time. It might be that we don't have a system and or discipline. A system. If you know me, I'm a systematic guy. I love good systems. I love systems that scale. I love systems that can be sustained. I love systems that work when I don't have to work, right? So let's talk about systems today. We talked about last week 4 simple ways to maximize our time today. Number 1, acknowledge the excuse. Just admit that that's probably an excuse that you don't have time. I've said that before too, and there might be some exceptions, okay? If you already maximize your schedule, your time, you can choose not to have time, okay? There are certain things in my life that if you ask me to do, I might say I don't have time because I've chosen not to have time because I have assigned or allocated that certain amount of time to this other thing that is priority, which fuels my purpose. If you ask me today, to go and I don't know, whatever, to go over to Dallas and hang out for a couple hours, I don't have time. I don't have time for that right now. You get my point. Okay. Number 1, acknowledge the excuse. 2, identify the fluff. I hope you did the homework and did so. Identifying the fluff, differentiating between what is busyness and what is productivity. Okay, busyness can just keep you on the rat wheel, just spinning. Your calendar can be full, but you're not fulfilled. You're not moving anything forward. You're just maintaining what is. And this is where I come in and say, hey, stop the madness. Get off the train. Stop the crazy cycle and assess everything, and don't be so reactionary. Be strategic in your life. Say, okay, these are my macro goals, my big goals, and these are the micro moves that I can do today. The micro moves, I call it the micro moves on a Monday. The micro moves on a Monday, you know, like today, are they putting me on the trajectory to get to the big goals and dreams, or are they just continuously keeping you spin? And here's the great travesty in success, because people teach you how to lose, people teach you what to do when you lose. Oftentimes people don't teach you what to do when you win, how to steward success. Because what happens when you're on a crazy cycle but you're somewhat still winning in business, you're making good money, you know, you have some wealth, you have a little bit, just enough fulfillment to get you by to another day. But that's not what we want to do. We don't want to just do that, right? We want to actually reach our goals and fulfill what we feel like our purpose is within. So sometimes we can be busy and still be somewhat successful within that busyness. And I've been there before, and I can still drift back there because I'm sure a lot of you watching this, just by your natural gifting and your charisma and your intellect and your wisdom, personality, etc., you could win certain areas, but you might be winning at the wrong game. Somebody said one time, you know, you climb the ladder to success only to realize when you get to the top, the ladder was on the wrong wall. It would be so sad if you win and you look around and you're like, this isn't even what I wanted to do. I heard of a guy one time, he was the pastor of a mega church. And if you know me in my context from day to day, I'm a pastor. And he built a mega church. The Lord used him to build a mega church. And when it got to thousands and thousands of members, he looked around and realized he didn't like what he built. And he resigned because he was building in accordance to another man's strategy, another man's plan, another man's schedule. So you want to be sure that this is all about purpose fulfillment. This isn't about money. This isn't about notoriety. This is about fulfilling your purpose, right? Okay, so to identifying the fluff, stop wasting time. We spend time like we have more to give. We don't. Okay. 3, prioritizing your tasks. Talked about this last week. Again, this is a bunch of recap. When do you work best? You know, for me, it's right off the bat in the morning. When are you most inspired? What do you need to get done? That's a big one. You know, there's a general study out there that says that, you know, if you get your biggest task done early, then you'll basically soar the rest of the day. So get your big tasks done early. Follow whatever school of thought you want to, but I like to do that, you know, so it's not a thorn in my side all day, not weighing me down, not kind of lingering in my subconscious, all these open files that are wearing my processing system out, you know. What's making you anxious? Just get it done, or delegate it if you need to, you know. That's a good one. Maybe it's time for some of you, maybe not, but maybe it is time for some of you to make it the right hire, so you can pull back and focus on some weighty matters, so you can be, you know, a bit more of value to the company, you know, bring a little bit more leadership and vision, and, you know, exhibit the product. So, okay, so what's producing results? So kind of tagging on to number 2, what we just talked about, busyness and productivity. Ask yourself, okay, is my schedule, what I'm doing, my focuses, my aims, my priorities, what I have prioritized, is that actually giving me not just results, but if I can put little brackets, the results that I desire. Okay. Because you can have, like I said, by natural gifting, you can have results. You can kind of drift into a form of success, you know, but is it the right? Is it the maximum? Are you actually reaching potential? That's the big question. That's number 3. Number 4, get accountability. There's nothing like somebody texting you saying, hey, how was this hour in your day? How was your workout this morning? You're like, oh, I didn't get to the gym, you know. I was, texting Leah, my assistant, the other day, and I'm in the parking lot of the gym just procrastinating. I was not feeling it whatsoever. I was going to go in eventually. I knew I needed to. That's why I was there. Sometimes the hardest part is just getting in the doors. That's a whole word for somebody right there, and she knows me. She knows my personality. She knows what language sometimes works for me. So she was like, "You stupid." No, I was playing. You weak. But she was like, "Hey, get inside. Just go do it. Just get it done." And I was like, it's so right. In that moment, she was holding me accountable to what she knows my values are and what our values are as a company. And she's also a fellow 8 on the Enneagram like me. And she knows that I can take certain language. If you have relational, equity with me, that is, don't just text me, get it together. But, we are driven by doing whatever we need to do for the greater good. And so she was willing to step up and be like, "Hey, come on." Anyways, my point is she was holding me accountable. Okay. And we all need that in our lives. And that's just a little micro kind of funny, example. But I fill out even weekly accountability forms to my oversight on my job, which is my senior pastor. So I'm held accountable to certain friends. I have friends that have, just because I chose to set my life up this way, my friends have my passwords to all my accounts. Okay. Just stuff like that. I've just chosen to be held accountable in every single area of my life. Okay. I choose to live this way. I think leaders ought to choose to live this way as well. And we do see in our day and age, oftentimes leaders are not held accountable for certain decisions, etc. Okay. Elements of priority. Okay, now we're going to dive into really what 301 is about. Okay. Coffee break. And this is what I feel like is part of my bread and butter as a leader. I love, I can really tell someone's priorities just by looking at their schedule, or lack of, right? And we might say it's a priority, but in actuality, we have not made it a priority. And that's where I want to come in today, and to increase our awareness and saying it might not actually be a priority. It might be some sort of a desire, but you haven't actualized it and put pen to paper or thumbs to screen, right? Okay, so elements of priority. A weekly general schedule consists, this is general, this is week to week. There might be some other things kind of implemented in there, different weeks, different seasons, but this is a general overview. This is how I write my clients' schedules, okay? I'm about to give you something that I've built an entire system on, okay? Part of me was hesitant on kind of giving this away, because I was like, no, because this is the bread and butter of my company. Then I was like, no, I'm committed to bring you value and to be an open book as much as I can. So don't overlook this. I think this will really help you. Social and relational. I think there ought to be a social and relational slots in our calendars, in our week to week. Okay. So, one thing that I do for my clients is I schedule an hour of like a relational hour, and they have to hang out with somebody for an hour a week, one-on-one. I think that's really important. Learning how to be in a one-on-one setting, especially in a day and age to where we can just hide behind here and have some sort of artificial relationships. We need to actually know how to get face to face again, right? And then social hour as well. So, I'll schedule in like a dinner with like a crew or something like that, or a lunch with a crew. But I think we ought to be social and relational every single week. And, you can be surrounded by people, yet lonely. Isn't it crazy? My life, every single day, most of the day, I'm around people. And oftentimes, especially this summer with my schedule, with my travel schedule, I've been surrounded by mass groups of people. But at times, I have come eye to eye with the feeling of loneliness. And so just because you're surrounded doesn't mean that you are connected. right? You don't just need people around you in a circle, you need people in your corner. And so relationships in your social life is going to cost something. Anything valuable in your life will cost you something. It will be a sacrifice, but it takes that investment. And there's almost a guaranteed return. Relationships should be reciprocal. You give, they give. So you have to invest in that though. I can't invest my stocks that I'm invested in to give me something if I'm not invested in it. I can't expect my wife to be, emotionally available for me if I'm not emotionally available for her. You get my point. So you need to block this in your schedule. I would say week to week. Like tonight, I have small group. Now, I'll be honest, a lot of me, when Jaylee scheduled that in our calendar, thank God she just put it in there. It stressed me out. I love the people that we do group with, and I know that I need it. But part of me said, I don't have time for this. I don't have time. I just got home from a trip yesterday. I have another trip this week, speaking multiple times. I'm tired. I don't have time, blah, 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 But I know at the end of the day, I need to invest in this part of my life. Okay, so it's going to take an investment. And when you get to the other side of it, you always drive away saying, man, that was so worth it. Ain't it funny? Social and relational. Okay, spiritual. I believe in this with all my heart. You need to invest in your spiritual life. Don't expect to be fulfilled spiritually if you're not making the investment, to do so. So you need a spiritual slot. Uh, I say daily. I believe in this daily. Okay. In my faith, in Christianity, the Bible it's our playbook. It's what gives us life. It says that we need daily bread. That bread is a comparison to the word, the Bible. So we need daily bread. And so I just take it for what it says, and I get into the Bible, into the word daily. Okay. Spiritual. Physical. This is a big one for me. You need to be sure that you have a consistent physical slot in your priority list, in your schedule. Okay. I try to be physical. I could try to go to the gym or at least move a mile or something daily. I try to keep this consistent in my life. I don't like breaking up that rhythm. It's a rhythm for me at this point, and I'm so grateful that it is. We'll talk more about that here in just a little bit. But not just physical, like working out or running or doing air squats or something, but making sure that you're taking care of your body, health, and, with your health as well, holistically. You're eating the right things, you're eating enough color, you're staying hydrated, you're having a good breakfast, like you're fueling your body with the nutrients that it needs. Okay. Without getting on a whole rant of that, I have a background in that. I'm very passionate about that because we want to do all these great things for decades. But if we don't take care of our physical bodies, I believe we'll die. We'll suffer too soon, or unfortunately we'll die too soon. So I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to be on on these coaching calls. I'm trying to preach the gospel, up near until the day that I die. And so, but it's going to take a sacrifice. It's going to take an investment. It's going to take me being intentional about my health. So my physical health. And that affects so many other areas in your life. And I found that if I start letting this kind of tumble over and get out of rhythm, then everything else starts getting out of rhythm as well. They all go together. This is all about discipline and all about being intentional and living a life of boundaries and of certain standards. Okay. Intellectual. So investing in your intellect. We talked about last week and the week before in 101 and in 201, just about how we probably all have time to, for example, case in point, listen to podcasts. I think I tallied up my potential hours just in my commute back and forth, 48 weeks a year. If you missed that exercise, go back to the last video or go to my Instagram and do the exercise. It'll take 90 seconds. But it was about 200 hours a year I had just in my commute to work, to and fro, 48 weeks out of the year, 200 hours to listen to podcasts, to grow. Okay. So investing in your intellect, reading books, listening, to watching YouTube videos from credible sources. Okay. Not just all these, crazy concepts and new age philosophies out there, but so investing in your intellect, going to conferences. Okay. Some of this stuff might cost you a little bit of money, but what it's going to give you in return will be so worth it. Now podcasts are free. So here we go. Okay. Intellectual, mental. So making sure that you are stewarding your mental health really well. Okay. So one easy move to make is limiting your social media time. I said it. I'm the old guy now that's saying that. Your psyche, your brain, watch this. It was not built to process that much information for that hard, for that long. It was not. Our systems are on overdrive. It was not made to process that much information, that hard, that long. Period. This is why we start feeling like our processing system is misfiring, because it has all these open files. Man, my computer the other day, you can ask Leah, my computer, since I've gotten it, it's a new laptop. And the fan would constantly be running. I would be on these calls. I don't know if you've ever heard it or heard some white noise in the background, but that was my fan blowing like crazy. And I'm like, I'm about to go back to my old laptop because this is wearing me out. What in the world? What is this? And I did a lot of research and I realized my text message, my iMessage app, because it had so many open files, it was trying to process all that information, and the energy that it was using was off the charts. So to try to keep up, it was blowing this fan to try to cool down my processing system. Man, if that's not a word for some of us, right? That's so good. We need to be sure that we are not overloading our processing system. Close the files. Minimize your life to maximize your life. Declutter. We need to steward our mental really well. Okay. And this is probably, that might be, to be honest with you, my greatest personal challenge, if I can be honest, because I have a lot of open files. And so we just need to be sure that we are investing in our mental health. And this is kind of different than the rest, because the rest, it involves a little bit more investing in like action, but this is more about a withdrawal and about some boundaries. Okay. So you need to be sure that you're like, I'm going on vacation next week, and I'm not doing it necessarily because I need physical rest, although I do. Okay. I'm doing it because I want to disconnect and to actually vacate. Right. And it's going to be pretty hard for me. It's going to take me a few days maybe to unplug, but I need to unplug. Anyways, not to belabor the point here, but investing in your mental health, it's a really big deal. There's so much more I could talk about right there, but for time's sake, we're 24 minutes in. My goodness, let's keep going. Okay, so yesterday I was on a trip and we needed to burn some time before I was able to check into my hotel. And I told Jaylee, I said, hey, me and my guy, Levi, who traveled with me, I said, we're just burning some time. And it hit me, like, here I am passionate about time maximization. I am a time maximization coach. And I realized when I said that, how much I hated saying that. I'm just burning time. I want to encourage you and to challenge you to try to pull this phrase out of your vocabulary, out of your phraseologies, out of your terminology. Pull it out. We don't have time just to burn. Maximize it. Do something. If you are going to sit around and do nothing, watch this. If you're going to sit around and do nothing, choose to sit around and do nothing. Make the decision. Make that part of your day, that this is my rest slot, right? So if you're just going to go, if you need to burn time, don't say you're burning time, say I'm resting. Because what happens, I believe, is in your unconscious somewhere, if you're just sitting around, this thing over here, this thing back here is like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And you're like, oh, we're just burning time. Conscious is saying, I'm just burning time. Come on, get with it. I'm just burning time. It's saying, no, we need to be doing something. We weren't meant to just burn time, to just waste this time. So there's this clash happening. And so, but if the captain tells the crew back here, hey, we're resting now. Okay. Selah, we can rest. So make the decision. If you're going to burn time, say, no, I'm not burning time. I'm resting. Or maximize it and do something else that you know that you need to do. Okay. I think I got out my phone at that point and I started doing some communications. Okay. Because I wasn't just burning time. Okay. Anyways, make the decision. Don't drift into rest. Decide to rest. That makes sense? All right. Kind of show you a little bit of how I set up schedules for my clients. Everything is, I write their schedule entirely for them for 30 days, sun up to sundown, or when they open their eyes and when they close their eyes. Okay, so a general overview. You can see in the morning, I've kind of given him a rhythm. This particular client, they all look different. They're all going to look different. But for that 15 minutes, I told him no phone. It's important, to not go digital first thing in the morning. This is something that I am honestly and actively working on. I told him exactly what to do. Get, a couple cups of water in you. It's really important. I basically throw greens and vitamins within it and chug it. And that's when I prep my coffee and tea. And I just recently bought a coffee maker that makes my coffee before I even wake up. Hey. And then for this client, he has his God time. That's what he calls it, 6 to 6:30. You get the gist. But all the elements that I talked about just a moment ago, they're all implemented in here. Okay. All the way to, I don't really mess with his work stuff. He didn't really need a lot of help in that area. And then you see, but before and after work, I assigned specific podcasts to him. I went and did research on the podcast, and I put a clickable link right here. All he has to do is pull up his schedule, and click on that link, and it opens up the podcast and Spotify. So, that's an intellectual thing right there. And then the no phone before, the day and no phone after the day is a mental thing. And then you get into Saturday and Sunday and Friday nights, you'll see some social, relational stuff, etc. And you see his workout down here, etc. But you get the point. But this is kind of how I lay out even my personal schedule to some extent. I don't put in every slot anymore because I kind of know how to maximize. It's always there for me. But this was to build some type of rhythm in his life. And so, because he didn't have even a routine. So routine comes before rhythm. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But anyways, I think your days, they at least, you at least need to put your schedule through some sort of little bit of a boot camp. And I tell my clients, even if your schedule doesn't look like this when our program is done, if you've picked up 1 to 2 rhythms in your life that put you on the trajectory to what success is to you, then my job here is done. Okay, disclaimer, a full schedule doesn't always equate to a fulfilled life. I'm not just saying like put a bunch of fill your time slots with just a bunch of random stuff. And for sure don't let work, do that for you. I'm not saying a full schedule equates to fulfilled life, but we just need to be sure that we maximize our time. Okay. And that our full schedule puts us on the path to, again, our success. All right. It's all about being on the right trajectory. Okay. So you might not, if you're here right now, it's not about today trying to get here, because to be honest, if we got right here right now, we couldn't handle it, or it couldn't handle us. You've heard me say this before, but we would have crushed it, or it would crush us. It's too weighty. So that's why little by little, that is healthy growth. That is healthy success. That's how the tortoise beat the hare, right? Little by little. Okay. If anything, just succeeds truly overnight, which oftentimes overnight success isn't actually overnight success. But for those who did go to success overnight, which there are some cases, if I were to break my wrist right now, it would swell up. Not all growth is healthy. Sometimes it implies a brokenness. That's a whole different word. But okay, so it's about being on the right trajectory. Okay. Like when I get on a plane to fly, we have to adjust the nose of the plane. We get into the air and it puts us on the trajectory. We can't see the different state that I fly to yet, but we know that we are on the right trajectory. All right. So that's what matters. Okay. So the 4-step process, really 3 steps to results. If you're in a rut, this is the big one. I live by this. If you are in a rut, in other words, being unproductive or you're busy, you're just on a crazy cycle, you're whatever, when you're in a rut, you need to establish a routine. So your schedule might look like the one I just showed you. Okay. Just like, this is my routine. I'm going to stick to it. Give it 30 days. All right. That routine will advance into a phase called rhythm. And rhythm is what you want in life. It's rhythm. Rhythm feels good. It sounds good. If I put on a lo-fi beat right now, we'd all be vibing because rhythm is a good thing. We need rhythm in our lives. We can steward rhythm. Okay. Routine might feel very black and white, might feel a little bit mundane, but it's something that will get us to rhythm. We'll find our rhythm. Okay. And that rhythm will unlock results. All right. And results is what we want, or what we want. Okay. Here is a question for all of us. If you continue the same schedule over the next year, would you be closer or further from your dreams? Exactly right now. If you were to just to continue on the exact same trajectory that you are on, would you be closer or further away? Because if I'm trying to get to New York City and my nose of the plane is pointed towards Tampa, right? Or even if it's a few degrees off, a few routines or rhythms off, you know, um, I want to go to New York, but I'm going to end up Myrtle Beach, right? I'm going to end up in Atlanta. I'm going to end up in Tampa, because I'm not pointed towards the right way. Okay. So if you continue the same schedule over the next year, think about that. Would you actually be closer or would you be further from your dreams? Last point right here. I wanted to give you a lot of content today. New Year's resolution versus now resolution. I have 2 thoughts on this. Number 1, don't call it a New Year's resolution unless you've actually made up your mind. To have a resolution is to have a resolve. That means I've decided. I've drawn a line. We're not negotiating here. Okay. We're not just going for it and seeing if it works out. That's not a resolution. Call it a New Year's goal or an ambition or an aim, but don't call it a resolution. Okay. But that's not my main point here. That's my little rant on people saying that. If you go to the gym for 3 weeks in January because it's your New Year's resolution, and then you stop going, you didn't make up your mind. You didn't. That's not a resolution. Okay. But what I want to talk about right now is that you don't need to wait until December 31st to have a lifestyle change. It can happen right now. A now resolution. Making up your mind. This is the way, and I'm walking in it. Right? My new schedule is going to start today, Monday, July 26th. This is who I am now. Okay? This is where accountability comes in though. Okay, so don't wait for New Year's. Don't wait for later. Don't wait for next Monday. Okay, don't wait another moment. You don't have time to waste. You don't have time to spend. Okay, have a now resolution. I've made up my mind. This is the way I'm going. Period. Black and white. Amen. Any questions at all? I know, Alexandra, you are the only one really on this call, unless Leah, you do have a question. But if any of you have questions watching the playback, be sure to drop that in the Slack channel. Alexandra, you have one, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Again.
Okay. Hopefully I word this right. So please correct me if the wording's not right. What happens when your job that you're working at starts, they know way beforehand your social relational schedule, and they start to push the boundaries or violate those that, how do you call it, that's your personal schedule?
Yeah, so your job, there might be exceptions if you are truly on some type of salary or something, but leaders also know how to be flexible and adapt. That's a little bit different. You, if you're talking about just like specific like hangouts or dinners or whatever, and your, I don't believe that your company is not, this is a generalization here. I don't believe that companies are necessarily out to rob us of our personal life. That's not their agenda. If they need you in certain hours, that's when, as an employee, you might need to step up and help, because you are there to serve the vision. Um, but you still have your times outside of the work hours to where you maybe you have to adjust. Maybe things have to change in different seasons. That maybe you're so used to going out with the girls Monday morning at 10 a.m. for brunch, but now your job needs you at 10 a.m. So what do? My thought is you adjust. If you want the job there and that's when they need you, and I'm speaking to everybody here, I'm not just going in on you right now. But you just need to adjust that. Now, if you specifically are asking regarding, your, what you would call, your religious freedoms and your desires to go to church, etc., then that's when you have to just pray through, drawing the line and saying, no, I'm not going to miss church. Now, if it's a bunch of extra stuff, that might be different because there's always going to be a need at the church. We're always doing something every day of the week. There's somebody on the church campus, so you might just have to find an ebb and flow with work, that meantime money, doing what you need to do, with work, making that living, but also giving life to your local church. So, I personally have always drawn the line when I worked, bivocational, quad vocational, and I had to because I was also a pastor, but it's like on Sundays, I drew the line, and another night of the week, I drew the line. Like, no, this is what I do, and I'm going to find a job that can work around that and not interfere. But I've literally, there was a season of my life I was working construction on top of pastoring. So I would build fences by day and then I would preach by night. And so I would have to run home, change clothes real quick and run, grab the mic and preach. But that was the season. I did what I had to do, right? Because it was that meantime. And I understood. I had a revelation of the season. I understood the season. So when it comes to just your one-off social hours with the girls or with friends, I think it is important to consider adjusting or adapting, because it's the season for you now. But when it comes to your desires to be in church, etc., I personally believe that it is fair to draw some sort of a line and ask that they just, would be okay with that. That, hey, and that's why clear expectations from the start matter. And I know that you did. You went in saying, no, Sundays, blah blah blah. So great question, and I'd love to speak more one-on-one in your context specifically, but and also if you do feel like you are working for a place that is trying to absolutely own you, then my school of thought is it's not a good, healthy place to be. They're controlling, and what's going to happen, when you have a family, etc. So I'm not about that. There are a bunch of other places you can get a job. at. So, or create your own.
Sure.
Create your own. I know a pretty good resource for that. You can go to hustlehq.com/hustlers. Join the crew if you are an entrepreneur or business owner. We provide coaching, other ways of mentorship, a whole library of resources, a headquarters for you to work at. Come on, and community, which we need as entrepreneurs and business owners. Right now, the rate, it will run out pretty quickly. The rate is $197 a month, and you're going to spend more than that for a co-working space by itself. You're going to spend $400 or so a month just in that alone, and you don't get the mentorship and the community and the resources and the HQ in McKinney, Texas. Let me just say, it's incomparable, absolutely amazing. And there's coffee. Some of us spend more than $197 a month in coffee. And you get coffee if you go to the HQ. So anyways, I know that's in McKinney and not all of us are in the Dallas area. But anyways, that's an incredible resource. You can find more information as well on Instagram at Hustle HQ. Okay. And I have more resources on TylerWooten.com. You can find more information about me at TW Coaching. Anyways, family, so good to have you today. I love you and God bless you. Have a productive week, and I'm here for you. If you have any questions whatsoever, please ask on Slack. I would love to be a resource for you. I know I have a couple questions pending. I will get back to those ASAP. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.